Good day, everyone. Good day, panelists. As we start our presentation for today, we request each one of us to sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation for further discussion of our study.
How do you envision the future? As the Philippines' national hero says, youths are the future's hope. How do you see the future if the future is at risk in the present? Save our future. Save the future generations. Be part of the change. Listen, learn, and be enlightened. Due to the normalization of curiosity for new experiences and youth alcohol consumption, futures may be put at risk and endangered. You are the future's hope. Be one of them.
A pleasant day, dear panelists. We are Group 7 from Grade 12, STEM 1, St. Alphonsus Liguori, with a study titled Susuka pero di susuko, a study on the risks and consequences of alcohol consumption on youth's academic performance. The members consist of Bautista Ashley Fiona P., De Guzman Kelly E., Lopez, Princess Elaine Y., Pangan Vince Yuri J., and San Pedro Ernest Kyle.
There exists a considerable amount of discussion about how the modern youth are changing, particularly in regards to alcohol consumption. Alcohol is the world's third largest risk factor for global burden of disease. Contributing to 4% of it, it is estimated that 2.5 million deaths each year are directly attributable to alcohol, with 9% of death in the 15 to 29-year age group being alcohol related. According to underage drinking statistics from 2019, about 24.6% of 14 to 15-year-olds reported having at least one drink in their lives. This data is speculated to correlate with how the youth are becoming more open to new experiences that do not necessarily pair with their current age, coming with sharper consequences. Due to the normalization of curiosity for new experiences and youth alcohol consumption, futures may be put at risk and endangered. Moreover, a growing body of research demonstrates a link between alcohol consumption, cognitive decline, and declining academic performance. According to El Ansari et al. Study in 2020, excessive alcohol consumption is associated with memory, attention, and planning disorders. Daily drinking was significantly associated with poor academic performance, and problematic alcohol use was associated with poor academic performance among university students. Either directly or indirectly, a majority of the global population has felt the effects of aggressive behavior, property damage, injuries, violence, and deaths that can result from underage drinking. According to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism in 2021, this is not simply a problem for some families. It is a nationwide concern. To conclude, ignorance in the face of new ideas and undertakings can lead to catastrophic consequences when not handled responsibly. This level of neglect and disregard that may have stemmed from bad influence, situations, and pressure from peers can be dangerous to those who choose to underestimate its side effects. Hence, this study seeks to determine the significant relationship between youth's alcohol consumption and academic performances with the corresponding consequences of their action.
Definition of terms. Underage drinking. Underage drinking is when someone under the legal drinking age, which is 18 years old in the Philippines, consume alcohol as a result of various possible causes such as peer pressure, stress, the need for a coping mechanism. It is commonly linked with the binge drinking and alcohol poisoning and can even lead to death. Alcoholism is a progressive disorder characterized by an addiction to excessive consumption of alcoholic beverages.
In our study, we have three related theories that best show the factors that contribute as to why young people drink alcohol. We have the Darwin-Kelly theory, Sancho Miguel and Aldous theory, and lastly, the Koyman theory. For the Darwin-Kelly theory, oh wait. For the Darwin-Kelly theory, we have, oh wait, can I mute for a while because something happened with my screen. Sorry. For the Darwin-Kelly theory, according to National Institute on Drug Abuse, or NIDA, identifies three main reasons for the youth's curiosity: to feel good, to feel better, and to do better, usually disregarding potential serious clinical consequences. For Sancho Miguel and Aldous theory, in this theory, the consequences of underage drinking are being undermined in recent years, with the majority of the youth viewing it as a beneficial act of pleasure. There are three different social agents who were determined as being responsible for this: the parents, the peers, and lastly, through advertising. These three agents all have an impact on the intentions of youth's alcohol consumption. However, their influence varies depending on the age group of young alcohol consumers. And lastly, for the Koyman theory, in this theory, students fall into two categories in terms of how they manage their social lives and academic performance. There are students who struggle to balance their social lives and academic performance, and on the other hand, there are students who are capable of maintaining both social lives and academic performance.
And here we have our theoretical framework, starting off with the factors affecting why youth people drink alcohol in the first place, followed by Darwin-Kelly's theory, then Sancho Miguel and Aldous' theory, then Koyman's theory, and last but not least, all of the above lead up to the risks and consequences of alcohol consumption on youth's academic performance. Following that, we have the related literature and studies. This section includes all the relevant literature and related papers that help the researchers in conceptualizing the current study. This section is divided into two respective parts: alcohol consumption and youth people. In line with this, the researchers included a set of legislative bills as pieces of related literature. These consist of two House bills and one Senate bill. House Bill number 258 was introduced by Honorable Angelina Helen D. L. Tan, Doctor of Medicine, in 2013. Senate Bill number 2636 was introduced by Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. in 2017. And lastly, House Bill number 3706 was introduced by Representative Faustino in 2019. And keep in mind, all of the above do pertain to alcohol consumption, but as of today, and as far as the researchers are aware, none of them are being enforced by law.
Our study's primary objective is to ascertain the relationship between academic performance and alcohol consumption. It specifically seeks to answer the questions: how may alcohol consumption be described based on the following dimensions: the type of alcohol, percentage of alcohol content, and age at which the respondents started to drink alcohol. The question: how frequently do youth people consume alcohol? What factors contribute to adolescent alcoholism? What is the academic performance of youth people in terms of general weight average, or GWA? Is there a significant relationship between academic performance and alcohol consumption? And what programs or courses of action to end underage drinking can be derived from the attitudes and opinions of the youth?
Operational framework. The operational framework depicts the flow of the study, with the primary goal of determining the relationship between alcohol consumption and youth academic performance, consisting of the input, process, and the output of the study.
As for our scope and delimitation, this research will be undertaken to determine the impact of alcohol consumption on the academic performance of the youths and its long-term consequences. The researchers are particularly concerned about the health of senior high school students at one of the Catholic schools in Malolos, Bulacan. The primary subjects of this research will be drawn from their grade 12 science, technology, engineering, and mathematics strand. Age ranges 16 to 19 years old. The duration of the study will run from October 2021 to April 2022.
Significance of the study. The findings of the study will be considered significant for their originality. The researchers acknowledge that the research study will give significance to the following: youth and students, parents, teachers and mentors, school administrators, liquor companies, the National Youth Commission, the society, and the future researchers.
As for the research method, to achieve one of the study's objectives, the researchers use the descriptive method to reveal and measure the target group's attitudes towards the subject. In addition, a descriptive method describes an event, phenomenon, or fact in relation to a specific population or geographic area. The descriptive method was applied in this study due to how well suited it is for appropriately answering its research questions, especially in accordance with its quantitative research design.
Sampling technique. Stratified sampling technique was the employed probability sampling method, wherein the target population's elements were divided into distinct groups or strata, sharing similar elements with respect to select characteristic of importance to the survey.
Ethical consideration. Although this study deals with alcoholism, none of the respondents are required to actively consume any alcoholic drink to participate. The ethical considerations includes request for consent in all the survey questions, clarifying of the purpose of the data that was gathered, and assurance of confidentiality of the identity of the respondents. The researchers pledge to adhere to beneficence and non-maleficences in accordance with the expected code of conduct of research.
Statistical treatment of data. Presents are correlation coefficient. Researchers typically utilize correlation coefficient to evaluate whether two observed variables have a relation and to estimate the strength of that relation. In correlated data, a change in one variable's magnitude is related to the change in another variable's magnitude, either in the same positive correlation or opposite the negative correlation direction. To compute the Pearson's R correlation coefficient, we use the convenient tool for statistical analysis of the data, which is the Microsoft Excel.
Let us now proceed with the results of the study.
Subproblem number 1.1. How many alcohol consumption be described based on the type of alcohol? 96 or 23.19% of the respondents answered that they drink any alcoholic beverages. 29 or 19.70% of the respondents answered that they drink brandy. 66 or 16.46% of the respondents drinks beer. 52 or 12.97% of the respondents drink gin. 41 or 10.22 of the respondents drinks distilled spirits or soju. 35 or 9.51% of the respondents drink San Miguel beer. 13 or 3.24% of the respondents drink tequila. 11 or 2.74% of the respondents drinks wine. 10 or 2.49 of the respondents drink whiskey. 8 or 2% of the respondents drink vodka. 5 or 1.25% of the respondents drinks rum. And lastly, 21 or 5.20% of the respondents answered that they are not drinking any alcoholic beverages. The brands that are included in these types of alcoholic drinks are the following: Alfonso, Fundador, Ginro, So Nice, Chumchurum, The Bar, San Miguel Beer, Primera Light, Red Horse, Ginebra San Miguel, Smirnoff, Novelino, Carlo Rossi, Antonov, Hennessy, Jack Daniels, Johnny Walker, Jose Cuervo, Black, Blue, or Red Label, El Hombre, Bacardi, Emperador, Tanduay, Bombay, and Tanqueray.
Subproblem 1.2. How may alcohol consumption be described based on the percentage of alcohol content? 77 or 30.6 of the respondents drink with 13 to 22% alcohol content. 73 or 29% of the respondents drink with 3% to 12% alcohol content. 72 or 28.6% of the respondents drink with 23 to 32% alcohol content, while 40 or 14.18% of the respondents drink with 33 to 42% alcohol content, and lastly, 20 or 7.09% of the respondents drink with 43% and above alcohol content.
For the subproblem 1.3, how may alcohol consumption be described based on the age at which the respondents started drinking alcohol? In total, we have observed that 82.53% of the respondents started drinking from the ages of 10 to 19 years old, followed by 9.92% of the respondents started drinking from the ages of 5 to 9 years old. And lastly, 7.54% of the respondents do not consume alcoholic beverages at all.
As for problem number 2, we have a question that reads, how frequently do youth people consume alcohol? Wherein it was found that 34 or 13.49% of the respondents answers no to drinking alcoholic beverages. On the other hand, a total of 218 or 86.51% of the respondents answered yes to drinking alcoholic beverages. Our second slide over here more specifically answers problem number 2, wherein it was found that 2 or 0.79% of the respondents drink alcohol daily, 10 or 3.97% drink alcohol once a week, 15 or 5.95% drink alcohol more than once a week, 40 or 15.87% drink alcohol once a month, and a total of 162 or 64.29% of them drink alcohol on occasion or occasionally. And lastly, 23 or 9.13% of the respondents do not drink alcohol at all.
Problem number 3. What factors contribute to adolescents' alcoholism? With the results of 171 or 15.98% of the respondents answered peer pressure is one of the factors contributing to adolescents' alcoholism, while 98 or 9.16% of the respondents answered media advertising. 166 or 15.51% of the respondents answered family members. 148 or 13.83% of the respondents answered easy access to alcohol. 187 or 17.48% of the respondents answered friends who are heavy drinkers. 105 or 9.81% of the respondents answered affordability of alcoholic beverages, while 184 or 17.20% of the respondents answered personal problems. 6 or 0.56% of the respondents answered relationship problems, while 1 or 0.09% of the respondents answered curiosity, and lastly, 4 or 0.37% of the respondents answered celebrations and enjoyment as one of the factors contributing to adolescent alcoholism. Next slide, we have individuals whose alcohol consumption the youth have witnessed. We have friends with 94 or 37.3%, family members with 124 or 49.2% response, strangers with 9 or 3.57%, classmates with 17 or 6.75%, friends, family, and strangers with 0.4%, and lastly, 7 of the respondents or 2.78% of them answered none of the above.
Problem 4. What is the academic performance of youth people in terms of general weight average or GWA? 81 or 32.1% of the respondents answered 91 to 95 general weight average. 78 or 31% of the respondents answered 86 to 90 general weight average. 64 or 25.4% of the respondents answered 81 to 85 general weight average. 21 or 8.3% of the respondents answered 75 to 80 general weight average. 8 or 3.28% of the respondents answered 96 to 100 general weight average. And lastly, 0 or 0% of the respondents answered below 75 general weight average.
Problem number 5. Is there a significant relationship between academic performance and alcohol consumption? 32 or 12.70% of the respondents answered that alcohol intake has a positive effect on youth academic performance. 68 or 26.98% of the respondents answered that alcohol intake has a negative effect on youth academic performance. 124 or 49.28% of the respondents answered that they were unsure whether or not alcohol has a negative effect on youth academic performance. 28 or 11.11 of the respondents answered that they do not consume alcohol. The first table shows how aware the students about the effects of alcohol consumption on their academic performances. The table shown above is the correlation coefficient of Pearson's R. The table shows that the relationship between alcohol consumption to academic performance of the students or the general weighted average. It shows that the Pearson's R correlation of GWA is negative 0.13 0.314. Thus, there is a low negative relationship in such manner that alcohol consumption is inversely related to general weighted average with a low relationship, since the asterisk shown on the p-table shows the correlation is significant at 0.01, and that in the table, the significance level is 0.000. In conclusion, this table shows a weak and yet significant relationship between alcohol consumption and the general weighted average.
Problem number 6. What programs or courses of action to end underage drinking can be derived from the attitudes and opinions of the youths? We have improvement and addition of law regarding underage drinking with 49 responses, removing and limiting access to alcohol with 17 responses, education and spreading awareness about the risks and consequences in seminars with 26 response, social support system with 7 response, requiring identification card for age verification in all types of stores, especially local stores or sari-sari stores, had 18 responses. Alternative beverages or habit has 9 response. Parental guidance and seminars with 24 response. Psychiatric treatment and rehabilitation with 13 response. And lastly, higher alcoholic prices with 9 response.
For our conclusions, based on the results and findings of the study, the researchers accumulated a total of 7 observations. Number 1. There are more students who drink alcohol than those who do not. However, such behavior is expected from their age group, as adolescents of today are known to foster a popular drive to explore and experiment with different experiences, even those that are deemed too mature for them. Number 2, a vast majority of students nowadays are quite experienced when it comes to alcohol. Most of them start drinking in their late teenage years, a few years before the recommended age of 18. Number 3, most students drink alcohol while not preferring any particular brand and usually going for whatever is easily accessible. Number 4, most STEM students are doing well when it comes to their academic performance. Their general weighted averages tend to place in the higher numbers, with only a rare few of them attaining failing grades. Number 5, according to the respondents, peer pressure, otherwise known as peer influence, is the most prominent factor when it comes to adolescent drinking habits. And number 6, most respondents weren't sure about the relationship between alcohol consumption and academic performance. Those that did give a clear answer mostly said that drinking exerts negative effects on grades and school performance in general. And finally, number 7. At the completion of this study, the alternative hypothesis was confirmed. This study has objectively proven that alcohol consumption has an inversely proportional relationship with youth's academic performance.
Based on the results and findings of the study, the researchers came up with the following recommendations. Number 1, parents have the significant role and responsibility in guiding and educating their children about the risk and consequences of underage drinking. As a result, they have the most influence on their children's behavior and attitudes toward alcohol consumption and should be direct them to avoid health and academic risk and consequences. Parents should also serve as a role models for their children in developing a healthy lifestyle. Educating and disciplining your children is a lengthy process of connecting and communicating, which is why parents should instill the importance of knowing and understanding the risk and consequences of the alcohol consumption at an appropriate age prior to late adolescence. Lastly, alcohol consumption among youths around the world is truly alarming. Therefore, lawmakers should establish programs to improve students' current alcohol consumption status. They could consider the following: schools being open and vocal about the risk and consequences of alcohol consumption to their students, providing more in depth discussion and seminars to the youth and parents in order to eliminate youth underage drinking, addressing and enlightening the alcohol companies most students drink that they have consumers who are underage, and lastly, taking serious action in establishing a strong law prohibiting underage youth from consuming alcohol.
Underage drinking is not just about letting loose, not just about parties or leisure, not just about escaping from life's hardships. This study has revealed that as early as age 5, that children of today are being confronted with decisions about alcohol both at home and at school.
Most of the related theories are dated 3 to 6 years ago, and yet the problem continues to persist today. The current generation is more open to trying new experiences, such as drinking alcohol or using drugs, which is why the current and future generations are the ones at risk and vulnerable in this study.
It really is truly unfortunate that the youth nowadays start drinking at an early age and that their parents seem to do nothing about it. Based on the review of related literature, the findings, the related theories and journals, the results are already concerning. Who's to say how this might escalate in the future?
Our study serves as a wake-up call for parents, guardians, and the youth that we should all be aware of the consequences of alcohol consumption and that the underage drinking must not be tolerated.
The new generation is more liberated and yet more vulnerable. It is crucial to raise awareness regarding this matter. The recommendations can also be considered as a temporary and long term solution. And that ends our presentation for today. Again, we are the Group 7 from Grade 12 STEM 1 St. Alphonsus Ligori, and we are saying and living this line: keep alcohol out of your hands, minors. Act responsibly now before it's too late. Open your minds, be the voice, and be the change. With a study titled Susuka pero di susuko, a study on the risk and consequences of alcohol consumption on youth's academic performance, consisting of Bautista Ashley Fiona P., De Guzman Kelly E., Lopez Vince Elaine Y., Pangan Vince Yuri J., and San Pedro Ernest Cara. Thank you for listening.